now that the fantasy has become a reality and the Bears got their guy in Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator from the Detroit Lions, as their next head coach, the hottest name on the market. We got our guy, we got the front runner, we got the shiny new toy. Now the question is, well, is everything fixed? Are the Bears back? Have we completed our journey to being at the top of the NFC North and never giving it back? Well, I'll give you my take on that right after this. So before we get into the content, just want to say continue to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate everything that you all do to support this channel as an offset of the Windy City Breeze. Continue to support me as Mr. Media. You know me. I'm going to continue to bring out content from time to time that's going to be dealing with the updates and the Bears. And obviously had to talk about this, had to bring this to the channel because Ben Johnson has become the next head coach per Adam Schefter and obviously Ian Rappaport, that Ben Johnson is finalizing a deal to become the Bears' next head coach. He was the hottest name that was on the market, the offensive coordinator from the Detroit Lions, who has a proven track record over the past 3 years of being that guy when it comes to the offensive genius, the offensive schemes, his mind for the game, and obviously becoming a top candidate for head coach. A lot of people see him as a good leader of men. And so we'll find out very shortly if he does just that. Now the next step is for him to actually create his staff, bring about a staff. A lot of people are saying that he already might have his defensive coordinator coming up, the defensive coordinator from the Saints. He might be pulling him, but we're going to see how that plays out. But what I want to talk about today is my initial thoughts on the hiring and also what next needs to be done. Is this officially going to fix the Bears, or is this just part of it? Well, I'm sure if you're a Bears fan and if you're not sleeping under a rock, you know that this is probably just step one, right? We got our guy. We didn't settle for less. We didn't settle for the secondary names, the out of nowhere name that just came out of nowhere, like a Adam Stenovich or a Kafka. You know, those type of names. We got the guy, and I have to give credit to his manager because, or his agent, I should say, because he drove up his price. I would say that there was a lot of talk that the Las Vegas Raiders were going to step in and obviously become an attractive destination for Ben Johnson. But there were a lot of things that I felt that played against that, whether it be them being right outside the opening for the drafting of the quarterback when it came to Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward. I believe they're drafting sixth, and so they need a quarterback, and they're right outside of that window. And then, of course, there may not be a whole lot of good options in free agency. And so my question was Ben Johnson just going to go there because he would have probably full power of creating his own staff, creating his own lineup, and having maybe the power of a full GM as well, maybe being able to have a little bit more control, not having any history as a head coach? Would he be attracted to that? Would that lure him away? Or would he actually want to come to a situation like here in Chicago where you have the quarterback? You saw what he did in his first year. So you see the hype around what Caleb Williams could potentially be and how that pairing with you could maybe make him the best ever as far as his offensive potential and what he can bring to the field. But then also you have the weapons around him. You have the receivers. You have the tight ends. You have a decent defense, a young and up and coming defense. Of course, there are things that need to be addressed. There are obviously holes on the offensive line, the talent level, and also just the drafting needs to get better when it comes to this upcoming offseason. Ryan Poles needs to make sure that he hits on everything, especially now that he got his guy in the building. And so those are the things that I think I want to talk about now just briefly is this just step one? And yes, of course, this is just step one. I believe step two is obviously you need to figure out who are you going to bring in the building with you? Who is going to be your staff? How are you going to create that staff? And how quickly is it going to be created? How quickly is it going to kind of form? I think by the end of this week, I would say that he would probably have his staff. There's a lot of rumors that he already is going after the defensive coordinator from the Saints. My question to you all is, would you mind even Thomas Brown being able to stay in the building as taking a lesser role? We already know that Ben Johnson is probably going to head up the offensive play calling, but does he need an OC who's going to be a good secondary guy for the the week up to the games, the training, the week of preparation. Since you already have a guy like Thomas Brown that's been in the building, that is already connected to the players, that is already connected to Caleb Williams on so many different levels, has had decent play callings, especially when he was in that OC role up in the booth. You saw him call some really good games, and then also he ended out the season beating Green Bay. I mean, they were put in a position to win. Caleb drove them down the field, and they got the game-winning field goal by Santos. And so, does that kind of factor in where maybe he could be an OC, or maybe he goes back to passing game coordinator? We don't know. We'll see. I would love for Thomas Brown to actually stay in the building. I think that is valuable. Experience that he gained from his time here. He saw the ups, he saw the downs, he saw the chaos, and he also was part of trying to at least keep the ship righted and keep the ship afloat while all of this chaos was going on. We know that he didn't necessarily have a good record as a head coach, but I think that was kind of out of his control in so many different ways. Obviously, the product that you put out there, you still go out, try to go out there and win. And of course, he won the last game to end the season. But I think that with the knowledge and the experience and the connections that he already has, and of course the organization and the leadership already loves Thomas Brown, I believe that's a guy that maybe you want to keep on your staff if Ben Johnson prefers that, if he doesn't bring somebody else in for those roles. But of course, what else needs to be addressed in order for this thing to really look like it is a W? Because just hiring the hot name on the market isn't all there is to it. It isn't just the end all be all, because we clearly know there needs to be other things addressed. In this draft, we need to get a left tackle. I'm just going to just say that outright. You already saw my last video where I talked about we're going to be drafting 10th, and I feel like we need to go after Will Campbell if he's there. If you are looking at the left tackle as well, then out of those two, the Kelvin Banks Jr., obviously from Texas, then you want to get one of those guys to shore up that left tackle position, because it is very clear that we need an upgrade and we need stability at that position. It is no doubt in my mind that going into next season, you need to have left tackle, you need to have center addressed, whether it be in the off, whether it be in drafting, and whether it be in free agency. There's going to be some names as some notable free agent names that are going to be on the market when it comes to those positions that I think we need to attack early and often. But when it comes to the draft, Will Campbell in the first round, there's a couple of names also in the second and third rounds that I think we need to go after. And that's what you need to address in order to make this reality, I would say, turn into a dream. Because obviously we're all feeling really good. We're all on a high, right, from getting Ben Johnson. That's the name everybody wanted. That's the number one guy. We got the guy. But in order to kind of feel like on cloud nine and to keep that feeling going into next season, I think we need to make sure that we're addressing all of the other areas on the trenches in order to make sure that Caleb doesn't have 68 sacks on his record anymore during the season. I mean, that was utterly ridiculous. And obviously, we know we talked about it in detail where some of that was on him. Most of it was on the offensive line and the fact that they couldn't block long enough. But some of it's created by Caleb and his ability, or his lack of ability, to not walk in or run into pressure when he's trying to navigate the pocket. And so I think that is the first thing that you need to address. Another thing that needs to make sure that that happens is, we know Ben Johnson, from all accounts, it looks as if he wants to make sure that he has his hand in certain things, even if he doesn't have the experience of a head coach already on his record. I think that he wants to make sure that this organization follows the blueprint that he has in mind, and that Ryan Poles, Kevin Warren, and especially George McCaskey doesn't meddle in that. And I think that's what needs to be done in order to make this next step, this next evolution of this Bears team a success, is that everybody kind of stays in their lane, right? Yes, we know that Ben Johnson's bosses are Ryan Poles, Kevin Warren, and George McCaskey. We understand that. I get that. There's levels to it, but allow for your coach to be your head coach. Allow for him to see a vision, to see his blueprint actually manifested, to see it actually realized. Do not get in the middle of it and allow for your own arrogance or your own ego to get in the way of what Ben Johnson sees as the path to success for this team and for this organization. It is a new day in certain aspects for this organization, and I would love it if everybody could just kind of be within their own, not get in their own way, in a sense. Allow for this man to see what he wants to do, bring his guys in the building, and see success going into next year. I'm sure Caleb Williams is very happy. We already saw what he how he felt about Ben Johnson when it came to him being on the St. Brown's podcast. We saw the little playful banter back and forth about Amon Ra thinking that he wasn't coming here. And now, obviously, since he's here, we know that Caleb, being one of his top picks, preferably outside of Cliff Kingsbury, we know that that pairing is going to possibly be special. The things that they could come up with, the special arm talent that Caleb has, the ability to get out of danger, the arm, the rocket arm, the agility, the mobility that he has that's underrated. Also, the ability to be clutch in those pivotal moments when the lights are the brightest. That's what stood out to me this year, and I think that Ben Johnson can kind of add on to that. He can kind of add to that and build off of those things that Caleb showed you this year. A lot of people are saying that Caleb was a bust or that he didn't really show a special showing this year. But from what I'm seeing, everything that Caleb has done outside of the chaos that he was in, you put another rookie quarterback in this situation from this year. Even Jaden Daniels, even though I understand he is having a phenomenal year, probably one of the best years from a rookie quarterback, including getting into the playoffs, beating a team like the Detroit Lions handily with 45 points. I mean, you're talking about an all-world season for a rookie quarterback. But with that being said, I think that Caleb, given the situation, given what he was dropped into, given the fact that you had a horrible OC in Shane Waldron, overrated and just not really demanding in his presence, not really holding people accountable, a horrible offensive, or rather defensive-minded head coach in Matt Eberflus, who did not have enough discipline in his locker room, did not have enough discipline in his practices, was not holding other people accountable, and also not holding himself accountable when things went wrong. Bad game manager. I mean, all of these different things going wrong. You saw Caleb still produce a very, very good rookie season in all type of stats. And so, with that being said, I think with the Ben Johnson coming in, you're going to get an even better numbers going forward, obviously, on the offensive side. A lot of people were saying that because of the outcome of the game this past week, where Detroit, unbeknownst to everybody else, or rather I say unknowingly lost to the Washington Commanders, everybody was kind of shocked by that. 45-31. They were saying that, well, now Ben Johnson has been found out. Maybe does this put a kind of stain on his record? Well, in my opinion, it doesn't. You just scored 31 points. And there were a lot of things such as, Jameson Williams and the issues with him during the game that kind of worked against you. But as I've said, you don't play defense on offense. You play offense on offense. And so giving up 45 points, even though there's a lot of injuries on that side of the ball and Aaron Glenn could only work with what he worked with, you gave up 45 points on the defensive side of the ball. Scoring 31 in a playoff game, that should probably get you a win most times every weekend, week out, every round. And so when you average how much you've averaged over the past season, I believe Detroit led the league in averaging 33.1 points per game, and you put up 31. To me, that shows you that yes, Ben Johnson is that guy. In a loss, you put up over 500 yards of offense, 300 in the air and 200 on the ground. Sure, they could have utilized Jahmyr Gibbs a little bit more, but I mean, the man was having a field day. He was having a great game. And overall, you telling me that you lost with putting up 500 yards in a game. Most times that's not going to happen. That's the guy I want. That's going to be kind of spearheading this new direction for the Chicago Bears. That's what I want to see. If we're going to lose, I'm going to be honest with you, I would rather lose like that, with a guy that knows how to at least score and put up points in a scoring league. And that's what I found most impressive, is that, yes, things didn't go the right way. Things didn't turn out the way they wanted for a lot of Detroit fans, and I'm sure the Lions as well, in that first round. But the way it looked, you can't sit there and say Ben Johnson didn't do his job. He got cute a little times, but Ben Johnson called his game. And for the most part, I mean, again, if you're going to put up 31 points, that's nothing to sneeze at. And so, all in all, I'm very happy for this hire. I'm sure a lot of Bears fans are up and just excited for this day. This is the beginning. Let's not get all hyped up over nothing yet. This is the beginning of the change. We got our guy. Now, again, the next phase is who does he bring in? Who does he retain off of this staff, such as a Mike Thomas Brown, or does he go with a completely new staff? What does Kevin Warren and Ryan Poles allow him to do as far as his power and the authority he has over certain decisions? And then, of course, the most pivotal part is what do we do in the offseason? Who do we pick up in free agency to address the needs that are especially on this offensive line and the defensive line? What do we do in the draft? And so that's the next part of it. A+ for this hire now. Now we got to give grades coming up in the future for what they do in the next phase that will make this entire team complete going into next season. Then we can clearly say that we can compete in the NFC North and in the NFL in general. And so love the hiring. I'm excited to see what happens next. I know you Bears fans are. Obviously, let me know how you feel about the hiring in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about what do you think we need to do next. What do you think will make this a successful offseason? Give me your ideas of who do you think they need to hire on the staff? Who do you think they need to bring in as far as free agents? Specifically, you know, I've had names like Drew Dalman and Ryan Kelly on my radar for a long time. You got names like Will Campbell and Kelvin Banks Jr. in the first round. What other names do you like that's out there, whether it be free agents or draft prospects? Let me know. I'll be down there with you as always in the comment section. And as always, if you like this video, show some class. Comment, like, and subscribe, share this video with others. See you guys on the next Bears Breeze.